And that's all for the moment, but I'll be back very soon. Bye-bye.
This is where the wave of ambition...
20th series of MasterChef. Watch all this week's episodes now on BBC iPlayer.
Good morning. Welcome to a special edition of BBC Breakfast. The programme is live this morning from Fenny Compton, the village where 15 years ago the mass campaign for justice in the post office scandal began.
Fenny.
This morning, some ex-sub-postmasters have returned to this hall for the very first time.
It's amazing, and it has changed a little bit, but yeah, 15 years have gone by. Can you believe? You know, it's taken this long, but as you can see, I was the only one it was happening to.
But nobody else believed you, didn't, because this post office was telling everybody you did, and you didn't.
We're going to put their questions to the Post Office Minister, Kevin Hollingray, who'll join us live. And at the start of a huge week for the public inquiry, we will hear from people in this room about what they want to happen next as their fight for the truth continues. Good morning from Fenny Compton Village Hall in Warwickshire. If you watched the ITV drama Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, I think more than 10 million of us have done, you will know the significance of this place, because this is where Alan Bates first gathered sub-postmasters from across the country to begin their long campaign for justice. And this morning, some of those who are here for that very first meeting have come back for a special edition of breakfast. Some of them have travelled hundreds of miles to be here. Some of them have never told their stories publicly. In fact, some people have never told their stories to their families ever before. Thank you, all of you, for being here.
Alan. Joe Hamilton is there to meet him. They'd no idea how many would come for the first meeting, but come they did. Hello, Joe.
The leaders of the post office did with that information. We are deeply concerned that there is growing evidence that there was a cover-up.
Victims will be watching. They want accountability too, as well as full and fair compensation. Emma Simpson, BBC News.
Victims will be watching. Well, these victims will all definitely be watching. Many of them were with Alan Bates in this very hall 15 years ago when he first brought together sub-postmasters from across the country and said, look, something is wrong here. Something's going on. We need to challenge this. We need to fight it. Joe Hamilton, we saw you in that piece, once again, like in the drama, with the cakes in hand. No cakes today. We'll find some for you. What's it like for all of you to be back here together?
Well, look at it. We were all the only ones. I mean, it literally where the sofa was where our little circle of chairs was. And but what a waste of 15 years, and what a waste of millions of pounds. You know, but yeah, we're still fighting because it's not over.
Can you explain to people who are watching at home this morning the bond between you all here in this room? You know, when you talked about that WhatsApp group, winners.
Yeah.
When do you think you will win?
But there's too many broken promises, so we'd never have got a date. They just tell us something and we all look forward to it, we get excited about it, and then it just goes back down again.
Maybe there's a question in there for the Post Office Minister who's going to join us on the sofa in a few minutes' time.
All my friends need sorting out, like this year, not next year.
Yeah. Waiting for a cake is Gwyn. Gwyn wrote the Alan Bates versus the Post Office drama for ITV. Congratulations on the huge success. We've just heard this morning Radio Times have made it the most influential bit of television of the moment. What was it about this project that you felt so compelled to be a part of?
I think actually it's because I didn't understand it myself. You know, I'd read bits and heard bits and seen bits on the telly, but I couldn't understand what they were on about. I mean, it just seemed impossible to believe. What do you mean innocent people in my country are being banged up and pursued for money they don't? I just, didn't get it. And I kind of came into it hoping to learn for myself what it was that had been going on. And I think probably a lot of people in the audience felt that. They feel like they'd heard enough to have their interest piqued and thought, we'll just turn this on because it might be an easy way to learn about this big important subject.
Yeah. People say, I've heard that.
Yeah, because there had been the documentaries and the podcasts and the newspaper articles, but it's a day with the two of them in Sunderland, hearing about their story and making a journey they hadn't made for some time.
I just love
Nothing wrong.
No.
Nothing.
I know I haven't done nothing wrong. I should be all right to be here, and I'm not. I'm not. It's shaky, feeling sick. I couldn't get out though and walk around here. Nah, I would never come back again.
That clapping's for you two.
Thank you.
Thank you. You've all needed an any.
Thank you so much for talking to us. I know it was a tough decision to do it, and I hope it wasn't too tough doing it. Now you've done it, and you've told your story to your friends, your family, to the country. How does that feel? Well, it still wouldn't be fully resolved. There have been some successes along the way, but it's still not really sorted. This week, there's going to be a resumption of the public inquiry in London, where Alan's going to be giving evidence. And even in the last few days, there have been all sorts of headlines about tapes and leaks and memos that have come to light. We're going to put some questions about that to the Minister in just a moment. But let's just talk about some of the stories that have appeared just in the last few days. You've got a question about compensation, haven't you?
No, not really. It's not directly about compensation, other than, firstly, I'd like to thank you for the help and support you've given me. Because you have, and you're one of the only ministers who's actually got a result for me. So I'd like to thank you. But my
postmistresses whose health is very bad.
Yeah. We need to simplify the process. Is what we need to do. Say if you've had a conviction, then you can go down two routes: the fixed sum award, £600,000, which you get pretty much immediately, or the full assessment route is more complicated. It does take more time. We're keen to make that as streamlined as possible. Yeah.
Acted upon, we wouldn't be sat here today.
Absolutely. Joe Hamilton was saying earlier, 15 wasted years. You look at your case, it's 23 wasted years. Yeah. This information could have come to light. All these prosecutions could have been stopped, should have been stopped. Yes. We need to find out who knew what, and hold those people to account to support a claim. It's that kind of nonsense we just don't need. We need to simplify the process, take a common sense view. I've said to our officials and to the legal representatives, if it looks right, is right, just settle it. That's what we need to do.
Anybody else? Seaman.
Hi, Seaman. I was sent to the prison without any fact or any evidence. Now, inquiry got the whole list of the people. We have got the evidence. Why are they still roaming around freely? Why can't we just put them behind the bar? We need an accountability now.
And parcels, so we see a future for the post office, but also the way it's governed. I'm a big fan of mutually run organisations, always spoken in favour of them. As we look forward, we want to see whether we can stop this being a very top-down organisation.
And a new approach, possibly a new post office minister. And, taking all the personalities and parties out of that just means more delay for everybody in this room, doesn't it?
Well, as some people may know, I was active in this particular issue as a backbencher as well as a minister. So if that does happen, you get a change of government, a new post office minister, I won't be in charge of that.
After just chatting between yourselves, everything you've been through over the last few years, will you raise your hand for me, please, if you are confident that you will all get a resolution that you're happy with in this campaign?
Work in progress.
Yeah,
a work in progress. We've got one hand up in a room of...
Must admire the will of the present minister and them trying to sort this mess out, because it's a very unholy mess.
So if only one hand up, we've got quite a few...
I have faith.
You've got faith, so it's half a hand up?
We need more of Kevin and less of the rest. If we had 40 of him, the hand would go straight up.
Wow.
It's a bit of a battle, still a battle.
Thank you very much indeed. Sharon and Kevin, we started this hour with them.
Sorry, actually, we've got no faith in it whatsoever. The way it stands now, not one iota. My arms is crossed for one reason. You'll not see these raised. And I would like to ask why the word full has been removed from redress. You're addressing things as fair now. We've always said we want full and fair redress for all concerned.
I promise you, it's not been removed. I'm happy to say it now. That's exactly what you deserve.
Yeah.
Full and fair compensation. Absolutely right for everything that's happened to you in your life.
Yep.
We'll carry on with that conversation off air. But thank you all very much indeed. Minister, thank you. Thank you for joining us from Fenny Compton live on BBC Breakfast this morning. Let's go back to Sally in Salford.
Jon, thank you so much, and thank you to everyone there for sharing your stories. That has been a gripping hour or so of television, really interesting. We will go back to Jon before the end of the programme too. I know lots of you very, very interested and engaged in that story this morning. More time this morning. I want to share another message we've had from a viewer today who's just written in, having watched the programme, saying, I'm watching your special breakfast news this morning about the post office. I want you to know how moving it is listening to all of the people whose lives have been affected by this scandal. I'm not normally reduced to tears watching the news, but I am today. I suspect there are millions of people wishing all of these people their heartfelt wishes, as I do. Also hoping that all outstanding convictions are overturned and compensation is given as quickly as possible. Now, I know Jon in Fenny Compton can hear me saying that, and I really do hope, Jon, that the people in that room with you are getting a sense of the reaction from the people watching at home.
Are you getting a sense from people at home? Yeah. And do you appreciate that support from everybody watching, yeah? Oh, I bet they do. Thank you all so much for being here. Yeah, we came back to Fenny Compton. This is the return to Fenny Compton. This is the village hall that Alan Bates chose because it was right in the middle of the country to bring sub-postmasters together 15 years ago and to start talking, start campaigning, start trying to work out what on earth had gone wrong with the post office's computer system. Well, the rest is history. It's a history that hasn't ended yet. The public inquiry resumes in London this week. But we've talked this morning about where things are right now. Jo Hamilton, you were here in this hall right on day one for that very first meeting. How does the meeting today that we've had, the atmosphere in the room today, compare with then?
Yeah, I mean, originally there was just a little group of us on chairs, just literally on the spot. And we didn't really know quite where we were going, or, you know, and Alan became our leader, and it really was the very beginnings. We just exchanged a few emails and gathered names. And then the next village hall was bigger and then bigger, and it just, every time we had a meeting, it grew. And then eventually we are where we are now. Look what we did.
Look what you did. The question we've been asking this morning is, where will you go next? And we'll be covering that during the week as the inquiry continues on BBC News. This is Kate. Kate runs the village hall, or is the key holder this morning. Thank you for having us.
Not a problem.
How does this affect you and your village?
It's been absolute madness since all this first started in late December, when the drama was on in early January. I've had people ringing up wanting to interview the village hall. It's a building.
What did the village hall have to say?
The village hall said, I've got a full-time job, can I ring you back when I finish work? But no, it's been good for the village in terms of people knowing that we have a village hall that's available to them.
And you've had people turning up from...
Oh, yes. We've had German TV crews. We've had people stood outside having selfies with the village hall. You know, I'm at the world famous village hall. Only yesterday, as the crew were setting up, we had a couple that were on the way back from Heathrow Airport, going back up to the northeast, and they came to see the world famous Fenny Compton Village Hall.
Well, thank you for having us to the world famous village hall today. Kate, thank you, Van. Round of applause for Kate. Thank you, most of all, thank all of you for being here today and sharing your stories on BBC Breakfast. And thank you as well for dropping by this village hall, which most of us had never heard of, but which is now part of UK history, really, isn't it? It's part of UK justice fighting. And this week, as the public inquiry resumes, we might get a clue about where this fight for justice goes next. From this special edition of BBC Breakfast, have a good morning, and let's join our friends at Morning Live.